Welcome to episode 1 of our Fallout 4 survival run, where we try to see if we have what it takes to conquer the wasteland on the game's highest difficulty. We start where every story starts, at the beginning, so we hit new game and let's go. We start off at our character creation. We're going to be playing as Nora, the female protagonist on this run, just because I never get to play as her. We set up our badass Wasteland Queen before taking a few moments to enjoy our little slice of pre-war life. While it's gorgeous, it doesn't present the survival challenge difficulty that we've come here for. So finally the Vault Tech rep shows up. We name our character Jolene because she's going to take your caps, your money, and your life before running off with your significant other. Our starting build is going to be 5 strength for that sweet carrying capacity, 4 perception so that we're only 1 point away from being able to take the demolitions expert perk, 4 endurance to help with our survival, 5 charisma so that we're close to the local leader perk, 6 intelligence to get the crafting perks we're going to want, and 2 agility that we're going to need to boost manually later. It's going to be useful for our stealth builds. We round that up with 2 luck and so that we can get the scrounger perk to stay in ammo and caps. And then we send the Vault Tech rep on his way. We spend a few precious moments playing with the kiddo, and then the bombs drop. We sprint our way to the vault, laugh at the rep as he's denied entry, and then hustle to the entrance before watching our world blow up harder than our bank account after our kid. Take a little drop into the vault and begin our new life. Apparently, someone was in such a rush she forgot the rest of her skirt, but the fashion statement is bold and I respect it. We grab our Vault Tech suit, race the doctor to the finish line, and throw ourselves in the freezers to await our glorious future. Our little nap is interrupted by our ex-soldier of a husband being unable to recognize a man with a gun and paying the price for it, before we end up defrosting ourselves and we loot our way out of the vault. This is survival mode, so all of our supplies matter. We take the chance to fill any bottle we can find with purified water, stomp some rad roaches on the way out, and open the vault door. Really, the vault's like a giant treasure chest, and Jolene is the treasure it gives to all of us. We get our first view of our kingdom, and soon everything that the light touches will be ours. After making a quick loot stop and running down to Sanctuary, we meet up with Codsworth. A quick conversation with him, we have some easy bonus XP and a helper to clear out some of the bugs around town. Or we would if he actually did anything. Now we start the longest initial setup of our game, but at least we're getting our steps in. We clear the roof and basement of one of the houses for some easy loot. We find the drug dealer's house on the edge of town to hack its terminal and pick the safe for a little bit more XP. And then a quick loot run to finish clearing out some of the bugs and a stop at the edge of town for some frag grenades, some loot from the nearby corpses, and a weapon duffel by the statue leading back into Sanctuary. Now it's time to get started building our first capital city. While we scrap everything in the background, let's go over a little bit what's happening here. So survival mode has some very unique difficulties to spice up our Wasteland Queen's life. To start with, manual and quick saves are disabled. The only way to save is by sleeping in a bed. The game does have an exit save feature in order to leave the game, but loading back in automatically deletes that point, so we can't use that system to leave a safe trail of saves behind us. We also have hunger, thirst, and exhaustion to manage. Chems have side effects affecting those stats, so using them needs some balance. Letting them go too far without addressing them will give us some penalties, racking those up to more and more severe levels until we start taking damage and eventually die from it. Item weights and carrying capacity are changed from the base game, including some items that didn't originally have weight, like stimpaks and ammo, now taking up some very precious, very short supply inventory space. The mode also introduces diseases, which can have a variety of crippling effects, and that we can get from eating untreated food or drinking irradiated water, sleeping in dirty beds or sleeping bags, anything like that. In addition, we both take and deal additional damage, making everything deadlier, and we start with a new perk specific to this game mode called Adrenaline. So this ranks up as we kill things, but we rapidly lose ranks in it when we sleep. However, that grants us bonus damage per stack of the rank that we've earned, so we can get a little bit more bang for our buck. Speaking of, we're going to be doing a crafting stealth hybrid build, which is going to be mostly based off of our ability to supply ourselves from our settlements and to use them as a base of operations for our sorties into the wasteland. Having each one set up with water, food, beds, a radio beacon to pull in more settlers, and a caravan supplier to connect them will not only allow us to grow the settlements themselves, but it'll allow us to share the resources amongst them using the local leader perk that we'll be taking in order to set up said caravans. So while we might not be able to fast travel, our supplies will, which is going to make our life as we move through the wastelands a lot easier. We scrap pretty much everything. Sanctuary is going to be an important base, so we leave a little bit behind and tidy it up to leave it looking nice and neat for our serfs. We also grab our copy of Grognak the Barbarian and the Your Special book for the charisma that we're going to need to take the local leader perk later. And then we grab the cooking fire and the chemistry station from the edge of town and set ourselves up our own little crafting corner. We're going to be spending a lot of time here, so we might as well make it cozy. Finally, we grab a well-deserved sleep and a much-needed save, eat and drink our fill, and after sorting out our inventory, we make a run down to the Red Rocket truck stop. Here, we meet up with the Wasteland's goodest boy, Dogmeat. We also claim that workstation, clear out the mole rats that hop out here and in the tunnel behind, grab some of the loot from there, set everything up at Red Rocket, and then we head west over to the Abernathy Farms. We nab some supplies from the water tower on the way, and we pick up their quest to retrieve their late daughter's locket from the raiders at Satellite Station Olivia. We make a quick pit stop at Red Rocket to do some inventory management, then a small detour east for a semi-hidden cap and weapon stash. We stock up on food by killing some local mole rats, then swing south to discover Concord. We loot around the houses a little bit before making our way to the center of town, where we grab our local leader perk and help Preston Garvey clear out some raiders. This gets us rank 1 of Rifleman. We loot some fusion cells and a fancy new rifle to go with our new perk, and use them to snipe the first few raiders we find inside. We nab the fusion core from the basement, and here's where I realize that looting seems too easy. I make the fateful decision to drop our backpack. Since the backpack is Creation Club content and not from the base game, it feels like I'm not getting the full struggle of a survival run if I keep using it. I honestly expected this to be the most painful moment of the run. Spoiler alert, boy was I wrong. We clear out the rest of the raiders with a combination shotgun fur missile attack, and then get into Preston Garvey on the top floor, and the real reason we're here, no, not you, Preston, the Perception Bobblehead. This brings our perception to 5 and opens up the Demolition Expert perk for us to take later. Sturgis sends us to the roof to grab some serious hardware, and then we clear the raiders out by filling the air with more lead than a 1940s toy factory. One superhero landing, a few explosions, and a lot of blood later, and we wake up the Wasteland's baddest boy, the Deathclaw. Fortunately, we have a secret weapon. Drugs! A little more cleanup, including grabbing a useful key for later, and we're ready to turn in the quest to Preston. We agree to meet him back in Sanctuary since the ruler of the Wasteland needs an army, and Preston and his Minutemen will do for now. Our fusion core runs out just as we make it back to Sanctuary, making our power armor so much dead weight, but we weren't planning on using it soon anyways. Fusion cores are heavy, and it's not worth our carrying capacity to just wander around in power armor without a set goal and some serious planning. We set up our first caravan to connect Red Rocket to Sanctuary, meet Preston to complete the quest for some easy XP, give Mama Murphy some jet and a comfy chair to do it in for even more sweet, easy experience, and then set up some defenses and take the Armorer perk when we level up in order to get a better suit of armor. After some inventory management, some cooking, and a well-deserved sleep and a save, we make a quick stop at Red Rocket to update the place and get settlers coming in. We then head east to start making our way to Satellite Station Olivia. We want to retrieve the Abernathy locket from there and get near to Ten Pines Bluff. Since there's no fast travel in this game mode, being efficient about getting as much done as we can while we're near points of interest is going to be very important. A nearby raider camp goes down to some sniping from our new revolver rifle, so we help ourselves to their stuff. After a quick stop at the robotics disposal ground nearby for some slightly rarer crafting materials, we hunt down a few mole rats and radstags for their food. Radstag meat is going to be one of our best friends this run. Once cooked, it gives you carrying capacity, which we will never have enough of during this. We arrive at the station, snipe the local attack dog, ignore a perfectly good save point, and then blow the door guard's mind. We loot our way inside, do a little window shopping in order to clear the walkways, and then employ the age-old tactic of kill it with fire. This clears most of the remaining enemies for us. Dogmeat saves us from a close call with a minigun, and we spend our level up on the Scrapper perk to help us collect rare materials from scrapping gear down before we finally retrieve the locket. Dogmeat and I get into a shankfest with some local rad roaches, retrieve a key to the storage area upstairs, and then promptly head up there and loot everything in sight. Most importantly, this gets us a copy of the US Army Covert Operations Skill Magazine, which gives us a permanent buff to our sneak. We head out east from the station, clear out some mole rats, and then get into a terrifyingly close call with a very tough, very angry doggo. A short hop later on, and we find ourselves at Ten Pines Bluff. The commoners there swear to serve our will if we can save them from the raiders at the Corvega assembly plant, so we make some promises before beginning the long trek back to the Abernathy farm to turn in our quest. This gets us another level and rank 2 of the Rifleman perk, and adds Abernathy farm to our growing kingdom. We spend a little bit of time scrapping everything down, setting up some defenses, and fetching a settler from Red Rocket to connect Abernathy to our supply network. Then it's back to Sanctuary for a bit of quick inventory management, and a chance to fill all the bottles we've picked up on our adventures with some purified water. We then start heading south, and before we get too far, we decide to send Dogmeat back to Sanctuary. It's a dangerous world out there, and it's going to get harder and harder to stay in the supplies that we'll need to keep him safe and healthy. South of Concord, we meet Trash Can Carla, a trader who we'll be seeing a lot of at Sanctuary now that we've met her. We dazzle her with our impeccable fashion sense, grab us a few caps and supplies, and then save her life from some roaming mongrels. A few feet down the road, we meet Wolfgang in a standoff with Trudy, and since we want Trudy as a trader and don't give a damn about Wolfgang, we cow him into letting us in to see her. We decide to double cross him, gear up for battle, and well done. This, of course, is when I have a very sudden, very sharp realization. I haven't slept or saved since right before we left for Satellite Station Olivia. Fuck! I hope you've all enjoyed this first episode of this Fallout 4 survival run. Let me know in the comments if there's anything in particular you liked or really wanted to see and or hear more of. I will be releasing new episodes twice a week for this run until we've completed it, so I hope to see you next time as we retrace our steps and then continue our journey to conquer the wasteland of Boston's Commonwealth.